Raise the Bar, episode something, we don't know, but we have a beautiful guest with us today. It's Erik Rice. Erik, what was the most surprising thing to you about this weekend?
The Flash sweeping the Shock. A lot of people said like the Shock were for sure favored, but it's like the margins in MLP are so slim.
Basically, in my eyes, like Flash had the toughest road, right? And the way they did it with the Shock, I felt like watching that match, I was like, until they actually, like the Flash actually won it, I still thought the Shock was favorites.
Does anything rival what we saw here this weekend?
I can't think of anything in pickleball that rivals when big stakes are on the line for MLP. Part of the reason I got into covering sport was MLP because you have drafts, you have trades. Now we have like dollars involved with trades. There's so much intrigue and like every team had some contingency of fans. I think the momentum's going in a good direction.
Okay, that was Erik Rice.
Maybe you'll be on an MLP team soon. You never know.
Oh, probably not as a player. 4-0 is a little bit low.
Not as a player. Sorry, Erik. After playing with Hunter, I'm like, I need this. And we had him here last week. So, we got some more tips. Yeah.
This is the Hunter Johnson. After he hits like a winner, it's just like...
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Raise the Bar. Episode something, we don't know, but we have a beautiful guest with us today. It's Erik Rice. You may know about him via the Discords, via the tweets, or the Dink. He's head writer, I think, of the Dink Pickleball. Covers all the madness within pro pickleball for them, and we're glad to have him on the episode today. Welcome, Erik.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
He is on all the channels. Like you are in, I'm sure you're lurking Facebook groups too, and Jimmy Kloss. But that's one thing that stands out to me is when we find someone who's like a nerd and or keen or interested in all the like small bubbles that present itself. Pickleball Twitter, we need to do more there. It's lackluster. But
yeah, for sure.
When you're in the Discords and you're chatting with the Anon accounts and the players and the GMs. And you're writing on the blog, and you're tweeting, and you're watching the stream. It's like you occupy a special hungry place in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of different channels, and if you're following any of them, you've probably seen Erik. So
yeah, I probably, my wife would definitely tell you that I am way too much into pickleball for sure.
Is she like through the transitive property? Is she turned off by pickle? Or is she like interested, but she gets everything filtered through you, so like she doesn't actually need to do the work to like go and live in it?
She's very neutral on pickleball. Like she works a lot. She runs a horse ranch, so she doesn't have a lot of like downtime to watch pickleball on a Sunday. So
she's a Ranchers fan, so that's what we can establish.
Exactly. Yes.
Boom.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's get into talking about all things MLP Orlando, which was the culmination of the season with the championship. Obviously, we know the Dallas Flash take home the crown. So that's fine. We can talk about some of that as well as the general format and MLP's future. But let's get into knowing Erik a little bit better with a quick fire round section. Okay, you ready?
I was not prepared for this, but sure, let's do it.
You and Dekel are built from the same cloth. You want all the notes. I'm not giving you all the notes. Okay. Were you tweeting about pro pickleball before Josh Gartman was?
No, definitely not.
Okay. What pro pickleball event did you attend first?
I got super spoiled. I attended MLP Mesa in early 2023. And that was my first one.
That was a different breed.
Yeah.
What stood out in Mesa compared to the ones that you've seen online or in person after?
Just the atmosphere. I mean, it was packed. Like I remember, I think I went on a Saturday morning, and it was like 10 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm thinking there's going to be a couple hundred people, and it was like all the stands are packed, and that facility is nice. Because of the championship court, like it has that bowl effect, which I really like. I know the facility itself has some other courts that are a little like it's hard to see some of them for like a PPA event, but for MLP, I thought it was just the energy was electric.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was when the
it was
team
the first one.
benches were like the team benches and the GMs were in each other's face, like before
Yeah.
any of the ground rules. Yeah,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the first MLP in a while, so I think that's why. I think the first one where all players from MLP and PPA came together after a long time for that. So
Right.
all the fans came to watch it. It was definitely a fun one. I feel like in that one. That's when the kind of trash talking and started a lot more in pickleball. It started in that
For
MLP, and
sure.
then it grew from there. Yeah.
that would
For
be in the
sure.
docu-series for sure. We'll talk a little bit about athletic background and your involvement in sports. So this is going to be
Oh boy.
seemingly random to viewers, but
Yeah.
what's the shortest but truest reason why U.S. soccer has struggled?
Oh my. You hit me with the hard questions. I would say the pay-to-play model and the club model in general. It just causes misalignment of the top level pros in soccer.
Good answer. Have you ever hit an ATP?
For sure, I have hit an ATP.
You said that like fuck you.
All right.
ATPs are probably my favorite shot.
Wow. Okay.
How about Ernie's?
You have to have like a decent level of athleticism to hit an Ernie. So I can do it, but it's not pretty. I'll say that.
You may be one of the most humble male
Yeah.
amateurs I've ever met. Everyone thinks you're going to be a 5 pro.
I'm definitely not going to be a pro. I'm a bad 4-0 pickleball player, and I know exactly where I'm at.
What's your guiltiest pleasure as a 4-0 player? Like, what do you do that you shouldn't do if you're in a competitive low margin context?
I definitely try to hit way too many ATPs. Like guys, it was for sure there. It was for sure there, and like I could only see the net post. Like it wasn't even possible.
Got it. Oh, you could bend it like Beckham. Little soccer thing there.
Yeah, I got it.
What? Yeah. What players surprised you most after seeing their game in person?
Mari by far. I watch a ton of pickleball online, obviously. I would put myself in the top 5% of people that watches pickleball. I watch a lot, and I've seen her 1,000 times. But that wrist flick when she's at the kitchen line is just TV does not do that justice. I have no idea how she moves her wrist that quick. It's pretty remarkable to me.
That's a good one. Two more. In your athletic background, did you have a nickname?
Yeah. When I was in college. I played 2 sports in college. I played soccer, and I was the captain of my soccer team, and I played 1 year of lacrosse. It was very bad Division III soccer and lacrosse, so let's get that out of the way. But I had a mohawk, and I was the goalie, so I had like a full mohawk, and so they called me Hawk a little bit.
Okay. I thought there was going to be like a rhyme with Tice or something.
No, I mean, I've heard all of them, but yeah, no, that was never a thing.
We should get you the Tice bucket. That's it.
See, Dekel, this is what you have to deal with regularly.
Yes.
True,
Yeah. Now you know how I feel.
It's so tough. Last one before we get into MLP Finals. 25 or 21 points for regular season MLP matches. Which one are you in favor for?
25.
Dekel?
So can you repeat that actually?
MLP games in the regular season.
Oh,
they go to 21 or 25?
21.
When you watch it live and it's a good match, I think 25 is great. But anyways.
Yeah, I just think the 25 with the freeze is longer. Is a little bit longer than like a regular like one game that what they were trying to do of like a game to 11.
Yeah.
And then it goes over the time that they try to fit in. Like it needs to be within those 2 hours that they want sometimes. So then it's for that reason only. Like because when you play a game, for me, I want it to be like longer, so it's it's closer to whoever should win would win. The longer it is, the more it is like that. But I guess if they're trying to, to fit for the schedule, I would do it to 21.
You kind of have a league commissioner hat on right now. It's interesting. Against your own advantage. By the way, serve to score, serve to win, I feel like it was talked about quite a bit. I didn't hear anything about it in a variety of the forums for the last few events. It feels fine/good to me.
I like serve to win. The only thing I forget who started the idea, but I would like to see maybe both teams frozen, just to see what it looks like. Maybe at the challenger level or something for a couple of events. I don't know, but I don't know. I think it would be a little. It's still dramatic, but it won't be. There won't be as many comebacks.
Yeah, as a player, I would like that a lot better. Again, for the same reason, a longer game is better. But as a spectator, the drama is fun.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out Stephen Brooks. I don't know whoever came up with the double freeze, but maybe we need to.
I remember Steve had a lot of ideas how to make it more entertaining and tougher on the players. Which is great. It's what they're doing.
Okay, let's get to the final. So the draft happened in April. All the teams played 23 matches, and then we've had playoffs for the last few weeks. But there were 4 teams in Orlando. Ranchers were one of them. Dallas Flash were another, and the Shock and the Fives. I think you can go and read Erik's reporting on it. I think it's actually pretty good. It's concise enough, but gives you some of the heavy hitting details. But basically, in the super tidbit version, if you're listening to this pod or watching us, you probably already know what happened. The Fives sweep the Ranchers in 2. We lose 0-3, 0-3. AL does her thing. The boys play really, really well. And Mari's flick was kept at bay, but they still beat us. And then the Flash, they sweep the Shock, which I think caught a lot of people by surprise. And ultimately, we lose to the Shock in the third place game, 3-1. We can talk about that later. But the Flash, after winning a Dreambreaker, or losing a Dreambreaker, winning a Dreambreaker, and then clinching a 3-1 victory, are the champions. Erik, what was the most surprising thing to you about this weekend?
For me, it was the Flash sweeping the Shock. A lot of people said the Shock were for sure favored, and then the Fives were for sure favored. But it's the margins in MLP are so slim. I definitely would have given, going into it, if I had to give a percentage, I would have said the Flash probably had a 35 to 45% chance to win. And I definitely thought the Shock were favored, but to sweep both was kind of crazy to me. I really wonder how much Hayden was affected by his wrist injury. And so I don't know how much that went into that, but credit to the Flash, man. They lost in the quarters to New York, right? And then they just came back and won. Then they go to the semis and they have to beat the Shock, and then they have to beat the Fives, and they get it done. So the Flash just crushing the Shock was the most surprising. What about you guys?
Yeah, for me too. I thought, to me, the Flash the Shock were favorites to win it all, in my opinion. And then, slightly, I put the Five just slightly behind them. So I was really surprised, basically in my eyes, Flash had the toughest road, right? Need to be Shock and the Fives. And the way they did it with the Shock, I felt like watching that match, I was like, okay, so if the Shock wins this last mixed match, it's gonna go to a breaker, and then probably Flash will win it. Probably the Shock will win it. Sorry, and then the Shock will win the third game. So until they actually the Flash actually won it, I still thought the Shock was, favorites. But in the end, you look at it, it's 3-0, 3-1. That's very convincing. And MLP, I think both of those last mixed were 26-24 with, match points either way. I forget if both had match points for the Shock or not. But anyway, super, super close. So MLP is always about a couple points, but in the end, it was a 6-1 victory. So that was crazy.
Yeah, I would +1 much of that. I think the 2 smaller surprises were AL losing 2 games in 1 match, in the clinching third in the finals, which is, I think Erik had shared it, or Josh Garman was like, she was 51-3, and then loses 2, especially against mixed number 2. But that brings me to my second surprise. Augie, oh my good, like that, like he balled out the whole weekend in a way that was like so clean, so confident, so composed. He struggled, and he said this with us when he was on the pod, but he kind of got found out a little bit, and then he's been in a slump, on the tour, and he hasn't sniffed a quarter in either event. And when you watch, it's been messy and uncharacteristically like Augie in terms of like thirds just going halfway up the net, and and not being able to create enough offense or having some loose dinkers. But here it was like this guy is on a mission against very good teams, very good partnerships, underdog in the clinching one, and he just kind of balled out. He balled out in the Dreambreaker against Zane too, who's an MLP goat. So anyways, Augie deserves all the praise for, I think bouncing back and then like just delivering this weekend. It was insane. And the thing that stuck out to me, besides the clean play, which we kind of know him for, like good decisions and JW style, is like, he was able to attack Will quite a bit with a lot of like off the bounce speed ups that Will knew was coming after they played, for this season and the 2-3 matches. But his hands, like Augie just seemingly finds a way to get the ball back. Like, whether JW created or someone else, like he was just so composed, largely sitting back in and just getting that ball over and bailing out what I thought were a lot of like, rally ending points. And props to him. Like that's a lifelong moment right there this weekend of play.
Was there MVP already picked for the weekend?
I don't think they did that. Did they do that?
I feel like they made some votes. There was some votes online by MLP, I think. I don't know if it.
For MVP?
I think that was a season-long voting thing, though.
Oh, a season-long.
No, Will got snubbed for the weekend, in his own words. Yeah,
like they should be, both, one for the season-long and one for the playoffs.
Yeah,
agreed.
But everyone knows it's Augie.
Yeah,
and then maybe Tyra or Georgia. But I
think so. With them, they all played well. Like I feel like Tyra in I feel like why Flash was better in this playoff is Tyra in the last few months has been playing better results, and podiuming almost every week now with Elise, and obviously Augie balled out, played great. Georgia was like the energy of that team, played very well. And JW, JW does his thing. He's always good. So all of those players played well and maybe above average. So like to their like above average for them. So that's what it takes.
One thing that my like second biggest surprise was Georgia dominating the second match. Went to a Dreambreaker and Georgia dominated AL. I think it was 6-2. Not that Georgia's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but AL's winning Dreambreakers at a 70% clip. And if the score is flipped the other way around, I know that Dreambreaker wasn't that close. I think it was 21-13. But if that score is just flipped, we could be talking about the fives today. But Georgia really balled out in that Dreambreaker.
Yeah, for sure. It was a combination of both Georgia and Augie winning their matchups, and Augie with a very, I think it was 8-1 or something like that.
It was either 7-1 or 8-1, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was crazy, and anybody who beats AL in a Dreambreaker, that's massive for the team, just massive.
Yeah. The thing that stands out to me this whole weekend was like, there's small margins. It's very competitive. Things could have flipped easily, with like a 1 minute, sprint from someone, or the Dreambreaker, someone leading with a serve versus returning it. But it just, if anything, it just heightens like who wants to be the baller, and it doesn't have to be the flashy play, but who wants to be disciplined on the 10th dink in a row. Like Zane was a ball making machine, in the third match, and like he was taking all the balls and mixed and like moving around. They were like moving him to his outside. He's moving his feet, and so like it's either that or Augie, like. AL saved like one of the games by speeding up real late, and they're down 23-22, and she's taking balls at her shin, and speeding up.
Yeah.
And it's just again, the small margins, the format, but it still provides an opportunity for folks who want to show that they can perform under pressure. Even Augie, like trying to crash and bash off the like match winning point. I'm like, I've never seen Augie do that. And he's like, fuck it, I'm going to go for it,
Yeah.
and she dumps it into the net and it's like, boom. So it's really cool. And we can get to the format a little bit, but Erik, does anything rival, you've been watching and covering intensely for the last 2.5 years. Like, does anything rival the entertainment / competitive drama? This is not a planted question. Like, obviously I'm MLP biased, but does anything rival what we saw here this weekend?
I can't think of anything in pickleball that rivals, like when big stakes are on the line for MLP. I've always liked the MLP format since I started watching. I came from a team sports background, playing, growing up, watching. I never really was into tennis. Like, if you ask me the simplest question about anything going on in tennis, I have no idea what's going on. So the team aspect, and like, I really enjoy part of the reason I got into covering the sport was MLP, because it's, you have drafts, you have trades, now we have like dollars involved with trades and going up from challenger. Like, there's so much intrigue and like topics about MLP. And this weekend, I mean, I think every team, like, it was packed the whole time. And I think every team had some contingency of fans, even if it wasn't like a huge bunch. People are following, these players and these teams, and I think the momentum's going in a good direction.
That's cool. Yeah, I IRL pickle, just like a lot of IRL sports, you see hockey in person, you see playoff hockey. It's like you're probably a changed person forever. So I was, lucky enough, unfortunately, after we lost, I was a spectator for a long portion of the day and watching some of the challenger and Carlos and the slice and obviously the final. It's just like, man, like that, it was just good sporting drama. Like, it wasn't, and I think there were a bunch of neutrals there that we got to meet and understand, and they somehow like don't like the fives already, and they don't have a vested interest in any of the previous antics. But it's more like, it was just really good competition, drama, and tension. And I think that's what Steve and Co wanted from the get-go, and that's how it's being like shepherded now. And I'm like, man, if we could get 25-30% of this tension like spread out through regular season with better communication and kind of touch points along the way, then I think there is like a winning thing here. If pickleball at the pro level is the thing too, so it was pretty awesome, as a neutral.
Yeah, I agree. I also like playing in it. For me, there's always more energy in MLP. You always feel the crowd more as well. So yeah, I'm definitely all for more MLP.
A big sponsor of the tour came to MLP for the first time, and their jaw dropped at the energy and different dynamics. And it was their first time, and it's kind of just this like, you may have never tuned into the YouTube, but seeing it in person makes you a believer. And we just need more of those in crunch time. So anyway, not to be too much.
Every time we have some like team owners come watch and cheer, they're always so happy and like, oh, this is awesome. Like, first time somebody sees it, they're just like, whoa, this is great.
Yeah. They're like, I'm glad I wrote the check.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for you, Erik. Was this a good format in terms of playoffs, like a best of three against the same two teams, and did the coin flip decisions go to the higher seed? And like those two things, let's separate it out. Was it a good format?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the 2 out of 3. I like that teams can change tactics and strategies between games. You saw that quite a bit in the finals. So yeah, I definitely like the 2 out of 3. And to Dekel's earlier points about longer rallies and things, best 2 out of 3 gives the best chance of the better team to win, in my opinion, and I like that part. The one thing I did not like about the format this weekend was scheduling Challenger and Premier at the same time. I would have liked to see it staggered, maybe get another day in there, so that way it's a little bit more staggered, and we can get the like all of the playoffs maybe on Pickleball TV rather than having just Challenger on YouTube. I don't know. I was flipping back and forth all the time, and I was like, man, it would be awesome if I could just watch one at a time. What else?
Coin toss decisions.
Oh, coin toss decisions. I thought was going to have a lot of impact, and I don't know that it necessarily did. The biggest thing that I think it did was anytime we went to 3, it felt like even if like I think the 5s won, so it was like, oh, we're going to see the same matchups over and over and over again. There was only a couple times where we didn't.
Interesting. Dekel, how would you?
I definitely I like the best of 3, even though it didn't work in our favor. But I think I think that's good. I didn't like that they had like the finals, like all 3 matches in one day. I think that's way too much. Way too much physically, and I mean more mentally. It's like every meeting is a lot, and having 30 minutes in between like the last 2 matches, just not a lot to recover and prepare for the next match. So yeah, I would just hopefully they can do it like add another day or another half day, because they started the first day on Friday late, and then have only 2 matches in the on that Sunday and not 3. The coin toss, I found it weird that it was like the first 2 matches you had the coin toss that you won, and then the third was actually a coin flip. But like I would just have the first match would be home, so our team would have the all the choices. The next match, the opponents will have it, and if there's a third match, like the deciding one, we would have it again. Which I feel that like similar stuff is like that in different sports. So now I even like the third match, which mattered the most, you didn't have the advantage, even though you were like the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would change that slightly. But yeah, other than that, I think I agree also with Erik about the Challenger. Like I felt like it was there weren't many fans also watching it, and it just didn't do it justice. So yeah, it can maybe a day before, or just a way to make more time. I think I assume they were like crunched with time and some scheduling stuff, but would be nice if there's an extra day or 2 for multiple reasons there.
Agreed with a lot. I think the way the coin toss should go is like the higher seed gets the first choice, and then it alternates through the decisions, and then the away team gets the first choice on the second match, and then the third choice you're probably gonna be react to mix, and then it just is smaller details there. But yeah, I think choosing the opponent is good. I don't think you need to do it more than that, and 2 of 3 I think is good. And rollout courts though,
okay. Do you know why?
Yes.
Why was it?
I called Zach from MLP, who will have a new title soon, but I said on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and I said, "Is this a financial thing? Like, can ranchers and the Chafitzes, can we make this like? Can we pay for the courts to be repainted? It's not an MLP thing. It is an MLP decision to still go forward with this, but the National Tennis Center is a little bit stodgy, corporate, and they didn't want to repaint their courts, and it wasn't a cost thing. The cost is $25-30K, which MLP would have paid for. They just didn't want another layer of paint and repaint, seemingly.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So tough. I mean, the roll coats were certainly a factor. Hurt Q. The ball doesn't get up. Ball doesn't hit and run as much. So I think that was advantageous for some people.
Different. It's definitely different. And wasn't a fan. There wasn't much, like there was space on the sides, but on a different surface.
They always could do more.
Yes, exactly. So you could just add another piece of carpet there, or not carpet. The roll-on court there. Make it wider. I feel like
this is the Tyra rule.
Or now the Hayden rule.
Yes. Going back to Hayden real quick.
More room in the back and the side. So I feel like even if they do their roll-on courts, then Make it bigger. Hopefully, get there a day earlier to put them on, so they're more even. And I feel like they're probably going to keep getting better with how they're making them, so there's less dead
I know
spot.
it almost felt like a big tennis meme, though. It's like, oh yeah, this cute little racket sport. Come to the tennis center. Like we'll put you over here, and you're not touching our courts. It kind of just felt like versus like the Junior Davis Cup is going, and there's like coaches and there's like some stars practicing, and then we're here on like rollout courts playing doubles, and before I had kind of settled, you drop a ball and go, and it was like, damn, we're like at the hub of rackets here. But anyways, it was a lovely venue. A little bit small. I think they could have filled more stands. I think they sold out. I think ticket revenue is upwards of like 90 or 100K for the weekend, which is very real.
Nice.
Packed seating. So again, manageable, but executed very well and inspiring, I think, for the next season. But let's get to the next season. Erik, what do you think has to change to make this a better entertainment product, or on a team personnel talent level, like what would you like to see teams being able to do that they may have not been able to do this year?
Yeah, good question. I know financially it's hard, so I'm going to lead with that. But I really think it would be advantageous to have 6 players on a team. The subbing is difficult. You have the on-site alternates. Maybe if you're lucky enough, you're going to be missing somebody ahead of time and you can pick somebody up. But I think a lot of that shuffling around would be minimized, and I think eventually we have to get to 6. I don't know when that is. I'd like to see it sooner rather than later, but I don't know about all the logistics and financials of that, how that would affect MLP. So that would be my biggest thing in terms of like the teams and how they're set up.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think I know Dekel can weigh in. I think it'd be a good natural step. I think financially, well, depends on who your 5th and 6th are, but financially, I think it's mostly about lodging, stipend, hosting them, dinners, uniforms, media stuff. It's less of like, oh, the contracts are they're signed and already accounted for ish, but there's some lifting there.
I guess it's also players that wanting to be the 5th or 6th player and like committing to 6 to 8 weeks of travel. So depending if I assume all these players are full-time, PPA players, so they should be able to do that. But I assume they won't play much unless somebody is injured. So in some teams it happens more, and in some teams the player won't play the whole season.
And the MLP ops budget's going to have to go up because we're going to need like a skinny singles like bullpen for them to warm up on the sideline, before hopping in.
Yes,
little soccer style.
But it's definitely the move. We saw a lot of injury replacements, and it's needed, or at least a better type of, I don't know, better rules for replacements. Like you can't have Scarpa playing for 18 teams, right?
I don't know. That was kind of cool though.
It was kind of cool. I like it.
USA. You played for every state.
He did great. Yeah. But it's, I don't know.
I get it. Weird. I think the loaner, I was never in favor of the loaner system. Even if there's precedent, I think it was not good for the league. Opens a can of worms. But yeah, the on-site alternates are tough, especially when you're dipping below challenger. Or there's one person that could have been on the side, on challenging. But anyways, the thing that stands out in my mind, especially after the last 72 hours, is trying to rekindle some of this competitive context where things matter, where it's money on the line or an advancement is on the line. And so I think next season, the talks are underway now are we doing regular season matches at neutral sites? Are those neutral sites hosted by a home team? Or I'm on the coalition to drive forward the plan to try to create a little bit more of the weekend winner exhibitionist vibe where there's advancement within pools and getting to a Sunday afternoon or final that like means they won that weekend, and that could play into a regular season formation and performance into playoff seedings. But I do think that matters. We're not at the stage right now at Pro Pickleball where we can just say, Team A and Team B are on team C's neutral site, they're going to have fans, they're going to engage people. You talk to anyone within revenue ops brand, it's like, if we could just say the best people are competing on this weekend, and everything that you're watching right now in this court really matters, and we'll have an immediate feedback loop into today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Like, that's good.
Yeah.
And I think we need to find the balance, but I want to be critical of MLP here, where there's certainly fresh takes, creative things like, choosing your own opponent. We never heard of that. Something it's dumb on the surface, but you're like, it actually worked out well. But then they go too cute, too creative with like, you get all the decisions, the coin tip. And so I don't want us to be like, we're doing weekend winners, but we're also doing regular season point stuff. Like, I don't want us to boil the ocean.
In my take would be to do something like, let's say, New York MLP. Usually, in most places, or I feel like next year they have the opportunity to do, like, let's say New York, it's 6 teams. All those teams play against each other, so you have 5 matches, and in the end of those 5 matches, you play the top 2 teams play against each other as a final. So all of those regular matches go towards the regular season. In that final match, you can just get a bonus point or 2, and bonus, some bonus money for the winning team as well. So that way you can kind of get the best of both. Because it is like in the middle season, like when we had the mid-season event, it was different to actually have a winner, and it felt like something more there. And obviously now again in the playoffs.
Erik's on board. Okay, we'll draft. We'll get you just to sign the proposal. But I think we've had a good. This season was full and long, and a lot of things to figure out. But I think we had it's a good sample size of and good data point. And then we've had 2 prior seasons with 5, 6, 7 events. And I think if you ask people who work at MLP Ops, you ask like the diehard fans, you ask like the normal fan, they don't know what they don't know, and you ask the players, I think, it should go back on the other side of the spectrum and create that competitive context. But we'll see. Fun little puzzles for leadership to figure out. But we can certainly try to be vocal. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon, Erik, but I want to ask, you do watch a lot of Pickle. I have liked a lot of your takes. And you don't just do MLP team takes. Like, I think that's the easiest thing, whether it's grading or, they won. That was surprising. Like, you do look pretty wide and far at college, international, and on the emerging 15, 18-year-old in a different city. Like, I'm curious with your bad lacrosse and mediocre soccer, though, but you glued in as a kind of an athletic-minded person. Like, what's the thing that stands out when you're looking at pro pickleball people to you personally? Is it their footwork? Is it them being like a dog under pressure? Is it just raw hand-eye that stands out to you, where you're like, whoa, this is kind of a high-ceiling person? Like, what's kind of...
I would say for sure footwork and making sure they're setting up, like, it's even amazing at like a 5-0 level, the footwork that it needs to be fixed in order to get yourself into the shot that you want. And I would also say like that, for emerging pros, you see Kate, you see Rachel, they have that dog, and it's you have to be able to find that, and that's really tough to find. You're a GM, and you can talk to these people, but at the end of the day, do they have that inside of them to like step up when they need to? I'm not naming names, but there are players out there, even in MLP, that kind of shy away from the spotlight when it gets tough. Some people break down a little bit, and then other people rise to the occasion. So yeah, I would say those 2 things are probably the things that like stand out to me the most at like an emerging pro level.
Yeah. Dekel?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What do I look at?
You watch a lot of Pickle, not just your semifinal reruns, but you watch a lot of Pickle. Like, what stands out? It's not that it's the right way to evaluate talent, but like, what do you notice personally? Quicker than the other things.
Yeah, so definitely the mental part from like Erik said, and having that ambition also to want to practice, to want to be the best, to want to practice 4, 5, 6 hours a day if you can, I think that's huge. Another thing is how well you read the game, or how well you just see what you kind of need to improve, because not everybody has coaches. I mean, hopefully soon they will, but like just wanting to add more things, but realizing what you need to add as well. What you're good at, what you're not as good at. Getting you always be. You can ask your friends. You can ask some people around. You're always going to get some tips or what you can do better. But finding a way to work on it on your own, and implementing in your game. So I feel like some players do that very well, and some players don't do it as well. So I think that's a big thing as well.
Cool. Yeah. Erik, thank you for your time. We didn't get a chance, but we will soon get into all things India, China, Vietnam, Australia, international pickleball. It's very noisy. There's a lot of announcements. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of numbers being thrown out there. It's becoming very real. I think we should do a shorter segment where we cover that specifically. You and Sam Flaxman are kind of like the leading experts in how that's shaping up. But otherwise, people can check it out on the Dink blog. But thank you for coming on Raise the Bar. And
thanks, Erik.
This will not be the last time. And lastly,
thank you guys for having me.
What pro event are you going to be at next? How can someone bump into you and chat?
I'll probably be at Desert Ridge.
Okay.
All right, sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love the JW.
Is it at Desert Ridge? It is, right?
I think so.
Now I'm scared that I just said something.
This guy knows his details, but he may have just slipped up there.
Listen, I didn't put it in my sheet yet.
Hawk, come on, Hawk.
I think there's only one in Arizona next year, right? Two.
No, there's
Tucson.
two.
There's Tucson and Mesa. Is Mesa?
Yeah, so I'll be in Tucson, and then so Tucson is February 5th through the 9th, and then Mesa is the 17th through the 23rd.
So is that one in Desert Ridge, or is that one?
No, that's at the place out in Mesa. So there is no Desert Ridge.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
See you there.
Well, we'll see you on all the channels in the meantime.
Yes.
See you guys.
Thanks, Erik.
Okay, that was Erik Tice. Very good to have him on, and good person to chat with. Spent a lot of time with him in Vegas in person, talking during MLP and PPA there. He's a good dude. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to talk pickle with him.
And he's one of the good ones. I think he's like very curious, has his takes, but he updates his learnings as he gets more involved in the sport, as he has better connections with pro players that are actually on the court. So I think anyways, props to him and kind of the name he's been building there. But fun to geek out about MLP, because I know he was.
Maybe he'll be on an MLP team soon. You never know.
Probably not as a player. 4-0 is a little bit low.
Not as a player. Sorry, Erik. But yeah, I feel like he would have stuff to add to a team for sure.
He's been good. Honestly, he coached a lot of soccer, and we were discussing like how to equip people to make tactical changes within the game. Obviously, you can't throw the book at them. It can't just be one thing. He's like, he used to write note cards to like key players with 2 or 3 things, several hours before the match. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do that. Instead, I went with the slide deck and whispering in their ear every time. But anyways, let's get on to this week in pickle. We're remote, even though we're both in Austin. The lab is being used. We got some women's Moneyball going on, so we have these beautiful backgrounds. But
and unfortunately, I'm flying tomorrow to Maryland for Thanksgiving with the Johns family. So I go there every year. They're all super nice, and it's always a good time. So
was this contentious for you, because now most of your family is stateside?
They are. That's true. So 2 things. One, I mean, honestly, in Israel, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so we wouldn't do it anyway. But 2, also my family's traveling, so
lucky
my brother and his family are in Vegas. So yeah,
cool. And you're going to be traveling on a very busy day.
Yes,
Austin Airport TSA is going to be crushed.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be busy. But yeah,
I just came back. I came back from MLP Orlando today. We went to Caroline. I went to Epcot, her first Disney World experience, which was very good yesterday. But we got off the plane today. I walked in the lab. Vivian Glasman and you were recording some content, some bits. Are you going to be in the vlog, or are you
Uh,
creating
I,
like training content?
that one was for DC. Yeah, we did a little just content for DC.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I caught them speaking into
Yeah,
that
I was
one,
like,
and I was like,
I'm looking like in that direction while I'm talking, and suddenly Ryan comes in. I'm like half freezing while I'm talking, and like, I'll just keep going.
you're
Hopefully,
giving
hopefully it came out fine.
that blue steel look.
Who's that?
Yeah. But how long was Gloss here?
5, 6 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lot of time on court.
Yeah, came to practice. So we practiced the last few days, and she saw her sister play in Waco in the NCAA's big tournament thing.
Did it go well for the sis?
Yeah, she went. She got 2 quarters, like the only freshman in the quarters. So yeah,
Wow.
Val is very good.
The Glosman racket family. Very,
Yeah,
very good.
a lot of talent for sure.
Yeah. That's cool. And then what have you been drilling, working on in the lab?
Yeah, so I'm trying to add a little bit more aggressive drop. So kind of a little bit more roll drop. I feel like I improved a lot my in general my drop my consistency of drops and midcourt and just getting to the kitchen, but trying to add another variation there of being more aggressive with the drop as well with the roll. So yeah,
Roll
hopefully.
drop or drip? That's the real
So
question.
both. So both. I feel like once you have one, you can kind of control the other two. It just kind of get better feel of that rolling shot. So if somebody is, or if the people aren't stacking, or somebody's,
Yeah.
your serve is deep and they're a little bit slower to come in, and you hit the drip. There's a lot of different
Hit the drip. That sounds
hit
like
the
a
drip. There's a lot
TikTok.
of different
Yeah.
spots you can hit the drip. Right, you can hit it like right behind the kitchen line, which is more of a drop, and then until like mid court, or that whole range between the kitchen line and mid court, depending where your opponent is. So
Whoa.
wow, look
Look
at
at
that.
this. Okay,
Ryan's
so
ready.
you're playing the left,
Playing the
and when you
left.
were, and you're referencing kind of like a drop, or like a roll drop that hits here for a
Yeah,
normal person who may not be hugging the line. But then you're talking about a drip, and that's when someone may be unwinding, and you can
yeah,
be a lot more aggressive, and you don't have to necessarily hit it at the kitchen line. It may actually serve you to be hitting it, a few feet behind the
yeah,
line
exactly.
with that.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
can also hit that shot down a line, and doesn't necessarily need to be cross court. It's obviously a little bit easier cross court.
yeah.
But yeah, trying to add that. After playing with Hunter, I'm like, I need this. And we had him here last week. So, we got some more tips. So
This
yeah.
is the Hunter Johnson. After he hits like a winner, it should just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, trying to add that. Yeah, and also just trying to be work on more spots with my speed ups, and more variation, and just yeah.
If you had a coach, do you
Yeah.
think they would say, "Do you need more variation?" Like or if you got your drops from 60% bouncing to 70% bouncing,
Uh-huh.
that's makes you more effective. Or if you got a 70% drop and then a very threatening drip, like does
Yeah.
that even is that better to front load that pressure and execution in the point rather than a neutral ball speed up to the 6th spot as opposed to 1 through 5?
I think the more options you have is better. It's also the more consistent you are is better. There's a balance.
Yeah,
So don't just add, a new shot every week. You still have to be consistent. And I feel like some people have too many options that are not sure what to choose. I feel like in general, I'm pretty good about, choosing the right shot. Of course, not always, and you can't always pick the right and winning shot.
yeah,
But I feel like in general, I do a good job with it. So just adding more options that my opponents won't know what I'm doing with the shot, especially like my forehand speed up, which I feel like I have a few good options there. But also I feel like having speed ups from both your forehand and backhand just makes you that much more of a threatening player. So more options is good. Which same as the drop. If I have only my drop to get in and my drive to as a drive, but I also have different variation of aggressive rolls and stuff. I feel like it just adds another weapon. It doesn't mean I'll use it in every match, but maybe in a match where people are unstacking more, or somebody's a bit slower to come in, or just in general, it's a good move. I have a good lefty partner like Pablo that can poach better off something like that. Then it all depends who you play with, but more options, more tools, better.
While continually budging the floor upwards.
Yes, while getting more and more consistent.
Yeah. Okay, just a genuine question there. But check this out, huh? I didn't get to use it this weekend because we had so many courts to be able to walk through and do like very deliberate situational stuff. But man, Carolyn made this with permanent marker. It's actually quite hard to do to scale, but very proud of this. Every sport's got their whiteboard. It's about time we do.
That's true. Are you gonna start to sell those?
Yeah, we'll just mark up staples by $10 and hand draw them. But it's interesting. What was Glass focused on? What types of shots or situations was she trying to
so a bunch of like just forehand and rolls from the back, like drops also mid court, and just different stuff at the kitchen.
Different stuff to be named. Yeah.
No,
I felt like I felt like
attacks.
in the latter half of the MLP season, I felt like she really struggled at times with like rolling the forehand dink consistently. Like,
we did a lot of that. Yeah.
But then when we played you guys and even in Miami, it was like she was kind of money with that. And I think something changed there, which was cool to see. It was like very, very noticeable if you're clued in on it. And then the second thing is she started, maybe this is a K-Mac thing, but she started taking so many balls out of the air with the cross-court dinks and just being like, hey, no.
Her reach is crazy. Like, obviously, I mean, the best reach in women's pickleball. So, like, the girls are not used to seeing something like that. And honestly, even like me when I'm dinking with her, it's like she's very long. Even like for the guys, she uses her reach
she's almost as long as Lacey.
Mentally as long as Lacey. Because Lacey plays really
mental reach.
Yes, the mental reach of Lacey is reach. Yes. When I play with Viv Mix, I like just reach in there at like any ball that is high enough, like go for it, attack it, because we were winning a lot of points that way.
She's like, if Georgia hugged the line a little bit more with, she certainly could play. She plays an aggressive right and a very strong right in a different way, but in the classical like hovering sense, I think Gloss is kind of paving the way for like what it means to be long and strong on the right. And
this is something I wanted to say on a different episode than I think I forgot. Like, I do think women's pickleball is going to get more like closer and closer to the line. So I feel like we're seeing, for example, Anna using the backhand flip a lot and getting closer to the line. You're even seeing Annalie now starting to use her one-hander roll at the kitchen line, just staying a bit more on the line. And I feel like that's something that has been big for Anna. And just in general, I think it'll you see Mari, that's a huge thing for Mari. Just women are just more used to being able to hit that dink deep, and now against certain people they can't. So the back and roll didn't used to really be a thing in women's pickleball, or just like a couple had it. Now more and more people have it, and just in general they're playing a little bit closer. Not saying they're not going to be some people playing off the bounce, and Annalie and Anna too, like they do like some crazy stuff off the bounce. Rachel, there's a lot of girls that are very good off the bounce, but I think there'll be more of kind of stepping in, stepping back, and just not letting certain players dink as deep anymore, consistent.
Yeah. No, I think Etta can play a strong right in women's. I think
she played a really good strong right.
I think she should fully embrace that. I think that would serve her well. So interesting to see. But
how's your
man?
What about your weekend?
I would echo Erik's.
Okay.
Well, I think I watched 12 full matches, which is like 18, 20 hours of the fives in 2 weeks running up to it. it's a lot. And there's so many times I've seen Mari in person quite a few times, but it still doesn't compute when she hits some of her flicks. Like the wrist is like flipping up, and then they're a clean winner to the side, and you look for seeing if she's rotating the paddle. Like I still can't get it, and I've watched it many times in slow motion from many different angles, and it's a very interesting puzzle. But if you told us that we would only give her like 3 steady flicks at the kitchen in a settled point, I would have told you we lost by 2 or 1 in a close game, and we lost by 6 or
The
2. We lost by 2.
Was the first
match we would come back, and then we lost by 8, cleanly. But I mean, like, we didn't want to give away free points to her in the flick, because even when you watch some of the top women's teams in MLP, they're trying to roll Dinker, and she's just getting 3, 4, 5 good opportunities to stick it, back cross or the women's partner. And so I think we did a very good job of avoiding that. And then I think Anna Lee had 1 or 2 poaches in across both games. So again, if those 2 things, like, I was like, we're going to find some points here, and we're going to find 3, 4, 5, 6 points, which means everything in MLP. We didn't play into the trap. We just didn't play clean enough. Especially at the gate, they came out strong in both games. But we didn't contribute to the easy, low-hanging fruit traps, which I was very proud of. But ultimately, they're very good, obviously. Yeah. And Mari execution generally is pretty good now, and especially when she's constrained to doing like one thing in the kitchen, which is forehand dinking, or it was backhand dinking, and she wasn't missing all that much. And even when she makes it, it's a tough dink. It's low and penetrating, and there's nothing.
And especially in those courts where the ball doesn't bounce as high,
dude,
it helps.
It was like traveling this much above the net, and then it would hit your toe and like raise to your ankle. And like Tina or Etta couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah,
and it was
I played Mari a few times, and the time I definitely struggled the most was when we played indoors in Salt Lake.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the ball didn't bounce because I didn't. In general, I don't. She has a great dink, but I feel like a lot of guys also have a great slice dink. And when we played her in those courts, it was a lot harder than when we played her again in Miami or a couple other places.
Yeah, it's tough. Anyways, we lose 0-3. Actually, I was in MLP Orlando for 6 days, so it was a long time there. We went there 2.5 days early to get some prep, and had our full squad. Orlando weather was pretty good, a little windy at times. We talked about the venue with Erik, but anyways, it was a good, valiant effort. But the fives were tough. We lost 0-3, and in the men's game, we lose a really big. Is it in the first match?
Second. When you were leading, it was the second match.
Oh, second one. Yeah, they beat the women narrowly in the first game, and then in the men's, I don't even remember, dude. It blurs.
It's so many matches.
It blurs against the fives men. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Zane and Will, and we have real clear stats. Shout out to Ben. He helped us all through the playoffs.
Yeah,
recommend it for the other teams. Ben knows what he's talking about. He's very helpful. But I think we had a good strategy. Really work Will, see if he's available there, and then go behind Zane and get him moving on skates a little bit. We've done it well. We tried to execute that. We did it pretty well. They just played so good. I think it was the best men's game they've played all season.
Okay.
And they made 1 unforced error in the whole match.
Wow. That's crazy.
Not 1/3 into the net, one dink. They had 1 unforced error. Ben is like statting it, the next morning. And I was like, I don't think we need to update the strategy all that much. But man, they just played really well. So props to Zane and Will. Zane, the Pro XR paddle was, I won't say hot, but I would say it was booming. Yeah. It was booming. Like Mari too, when she ripped some of those ground strokes, it was booming. So anyways, we don't have to go into it game by game. Tough battle with the fives. We do lose men's when we're up by 9.
Yeah, so you guys were up 17-9, I believe, there, and then Christian did like a big come on and like waiting for Will to bring the ball to him, and Will kind of tosses
Barf.
it at him, hits it at him. I don't know exactly how to like describe it, but uh,
He flicked it at him. I didn't see it in real
yeah,
time. I would have had
he kind of
Christian's back.
flicked it. He kind of
Yeah.
flicked it at him. Not very friendly towards his neck area.
Yeah.
And obviously, like Christian's going to the ref asking for some kind of code or something, but you can clearly see Christian's a bit upset about it. And I feel like any one of us would have gone to the ref and be like, "Hey, this is not normal." But yeah, do you think that affected the match because you guys were up 17-8, 17-9, like with a huge lead? So honestly, I did not watch the match. I did not watch that one, but just from the score line, it seems like it must have.
Yeah, I think it did. As much as we wouldn't want to admit it, I think it did. And that run was very strong by the five. We had a few loose, unforced errors, and then they earned some points, and we called the timeout. And then we even did like the challenge on an obscure fault to try to get another timeout, which we've had done to us, and we're like, okay, we should do it now for our sake. But anyways, yeah, it was a tough thing. I think I would have been more fired up and had Christian's back because looking at the replay, like it felt pretty deliberate and like more serious than like just toss. Like again, it's a wiffle ball. Yeah, I get it. Like we're not talking about a guy
no
dunking on you and stepping over your face, but it's still pushed the line, I think, for pickleball. And
I think it was, to be honest, I think it was over the line. I don't think it's something like, oh, they should lose the game for it. I think they should get some code, if it's like that, I forget what card is what, but if it's, let's say it's yellow and red. So if it's, at least a yellow card, or, if it's the one that they lose a point at max, or one of the two, I feel like I would have like been fine with. Nothing felt a little bit too little, and more would have felt too much.
Which was funny though, because in the fives fashion, again, they're ultimate gamesmen.
Yeah.
Whether it's Ryan, Zane, AL, Lee, like they know how to, push the buttons and to try to win and optimize. They immediately. They were so scared on the defensive that it was going to be a thing that they immediately started huddling and were trying to get Onisha to buy into the fact that like Christian was like being threatening at the net. Christian's doing his roar just like AB does a roar. It's like so they immediately went to this huddle.
It's definitely gamesmanship. It's it's not a nice thing, but it's nothing. I don't think that's over the line. I think the toss was a little.
It felt so coordinated that Anisha's like not even focusing on like Christian's plea. It was like, wait, Christian was like at the net, and it was funny.
But if I'm the fives, I'm like, hey, whatever he did worked like a charm. Like
I know,
good job, I guess. But so I do think it should be some code.
Well, we should never even if it led to 2 points, 2 loose errors, whatever. It should never lead to that. That outcome where we kind of boofed that one up, and then a valiant effort by Q and Tina to push Will and AL, who reacted to us, and they lose in a close one. But that one was fun because Tina and Kwong started switching.
So that one I watched a little bit, and I saw some points they were switching, and some points they were not.
They were mostly switching on Kwong's return, so that he could unwind.
Got it.
And it was interesting. I think they lost 1, maybe 2 points in like the 8-10 times they did it. So it was pretty effective. We had something we've been practicing and strategizing to try to throw a curveball at them, but that also played to the strengths of Tina being so steady on the right and being able to like work Will a little bit, and then Kwong being able to just sit there in the middle and try to create some chaos and hit a 2-handed counter. So that was cool to see, but it was a little bit too late, and obviously they're a very good team. So anyways,
and then you guys played the shock, and what was the deal with Edda at the end? Like, I heard she was struggling with an injury all week.
So she gave me a heads up on Tuesday night, or as I was flying there. So pumped! I'm creating this strategy deck for the partnerships and like watching more film, and it's like, it's exciting week. And then I get a text that like, hey, I may not be good to go this week because I have an Achilles tendonitis / soreness.
Yeah.
And so she was questionable
Yeah.
every day, every morning, and got treatment, kind of powered through it. Wasn't herself, I would say, in the prior games. Like played solid at times, but other times just wasn't.
It's tough. It's tough
It
when
was tough.
you're not feeling 100%, and it's
Yeah.
you're on a big stage, and it's
Yeah,
frustrating.
and rollout core. And so, anyways, we go through. She plays fine in game 1 in women's against the Shock, and then game 4 with all the wheels kind of fell off the bus with Christian, where it was maybe the worst high level pro execution we've seen in a while. And that's not a shot to Edo. It's just like
Yeah, yeah,
the wheels were off the bus. It was
because they had a great win in women's doubles. They beat Anna and Kate, and then the guys lost then.
The guys lost very close, like
and then
30 to
Tina-
28.
And then Tina and Q won.
Yes. Yeah. So we had a chance to
That was
close it
important.
out, and then
Yeah.
just a really something was up. Something was up. And so, anyways, we get off there, Sutu going to a Dream Breaker, and we call a medical, which the Chavises will dispute, but we do call a medical with Courtney and the head ref, and then ultimately, I don't think Edda can continue. She's checked out by the doctor. We choose Perina and Parado, who's an onside alternate, who's our best option for some singles points. And she hops in. We don't take she hits ground strokes on championship court. We do not take the 10, 15-minute medical. Like it's not a gamesmanship exploit that get her warmed up, get her moving. And it's like she literally comes in from watching with her parents to like putting her bag down, getting a shirt. And anyway, so they beat us relatively comfortably in a Dream Breaker situation. Gabe plays well against Q. AB does well against Tina.
Yeah.
Kate is Kate now, and Christian played fine. So, anyways, it was a tough ending. We narrowly missed getting third, stumble into fourth, and still hard fought weekend.
Yeah,
I mean,
you still
for any of the
a
teams,
great season. Still a great season. A lot of great teams finishing top 4. It's
healthy, intact teams. We had a lot of curveballs.
You guys had a lot of issues. You got like throughout the whole season, like a lot of injuries and subs, and
that's why I have no hair. But no, it was hectic. But so a little disappointing. I definitely think we're up there. But props to everyone else who performed under pressure, and did so over the long season between the tour and MLP. So, very.
It's been a very fun MLP season. I'm very excited for the next one. Just to touch on I think the rule with the replacement of the singles. So that being within the rule, so totally fine. I think that rule should change though. Like in my opinion, if somebody starts a match and starts their last doubles match, they shouldn't be allowed to change. I feel like we had it 2 years ago in Newport. We had it 2 years ago in Newport, and I thought they fixed it. So,
the last year in Dallas, I faced it because J-Dub hit Megan Dazan full on in the back of the head with his
overhead. I remember that. And she was going not to play, and then she did end up playing, I think, right?
Yeah, well, she had to get checked out for a concussion because it was legit. Anyway,
so I think okay. Let's do that. In my opinion, you should not be allowed to change if you do go out to play, like your last doubles match, which will be a mixed match, or even like the whole. Even the whole thing, because then you can just change after one of the doubles match to somebody that is better in singles, and it could be the last event of the weekend, and you can gain advantage there. But I think there should be some instances like if you get hit in the head and people see you fall and get in the head or get hit in the head with somebody else, or judgment basically judgment calls by the head ref, I would say that would allow it. I would say that would be like the exception of the rule for me.
Got it. Still a lot of gray area. Judgment is
There's always judgment. Judgment is always gray.
I'll tell you, and people listening, the Shock didn't like it. I get it. I'd be a little.
I think any team won't like it, but if it's in the rules, it's in the rules.
But also, we weren't trying. This is not a scheme. This was a very much I can't continue. She's checked out. we're like moving on. Anyways, if she was forced to return by Courtney and or the head doc, I would have had her stand on the court and receive 4 serves. Each serve I would have thrown back for her. I would say move over.
And it's not
another point.
And it's
not a good look. And it's like with a person who has Achilles tendonitis or soreness,
and of
on
course
roll-out courts and single.
Yes, and of course in this instance, she was injured and she was not like nobody was trying to pull anything, but teams can pull something.
I get it. So, no, and she's out for the PPA Finals, so she's not playing there.
She's not playing?
No.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So, anyways, it's
no.
Gabe and I got a little feisty post match as we were watching the finals play out, but I was explaining where it's coming from. So, anyways, congrats to the Shock, congrats to the Fives, and congrats to Ed, Julie, Augie, Georgia, huge Tyra, J-Dub, and Mark. So props to you guys, and it was fun to see them win. It was well earned.
Congrats, Flash.
They're a good crew.
That was fun to see. That was fun, just fun to see like J-Dub's emotions at the end. That was awesome.
Yeah.
They all killed it.
It was very cool. So
all right.
Back at the lab, I actually go to Carolyn and the West Coast to play a little pickleball in California, in the Bay. Go there for Thanksgiving and come back. And I don't know. We got a busy December coming up.
Yep. Yeah, so, couple more tournaments for me. Finals and then Daytona. Then we start back in January. But for now, it's Thanksgiving.
And remind everyone, the finals you're playing with.
I'm playing with Christian and Tina. So,
boom.
Ranchers.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay. Do it up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It's juicy TidBit time from Raise the Bar. This is Dekel Bar, Ryan DeWidgeon, Pickleball. We want to teach you how to do the scorpion. Sometimes it's a pancake, but mostly the scorpion. Dekel is doing it in New York City MLP quite successfully. I was very intrigued. Carlos does it here at the lab. Zane does it at the lab. I barely do it. I want to know how to do it. You may want to know how to do it too. It's a really, it is an athletic, fun, defensive kind of counter, but that is quite aggressive. And if you connect on it, it can be an outright winner. It's really cool. And again, it's something to think about as you approach rec or league. But the gist is, on the scorpion, you're low with your body, and your paddle's out in front of you, and you're trying to get down on an attack that's your opponent is using. But let's describe when to do the scorpion.
Yeah, so mostly it'll be when my opponent is hitting the ball below the net from the air in front of me. So that's when I'm going to be in my good ready position, a little bit lower and ready to hit the shot in case they're about to hit that shot at me.
And why don't you show them what it looks like to be a 6'3.5" man, getting low. It's not doing a poop squat, but it's not standing tall. Tell them a little bit about it.
Right, for sure. So I'm just going to be at first in a nice athletic position. I'm not going all the way down before my opponent is hitting the shot. So I'm here in a nice athletic position, and then if I see my opponent hitting it, then I go down more and hopefully slap the ball to their feet.
And when he says opponent going for it, it doesn't mean I'm trying to speed up off the bounce. It means I'm reached in, looking for a ball that's still below the net, but I'm going to be kind of trying to use a backhand flick or roll. You don't necessarily want to do it when it's off the bounce or a drive. It's really when there's a settled kitchen point and you think someone's going to be attacking there, and that's when you're going into it.
Right. So I'm also not going to do it when the ball is above the level of the net, because then you can, one, get more power to it, but also get it down. And it's a lot harder for me to do if it's getting below the level of the net on my side. So only going to do it when it's below the level of the net on your side when you're hitting it.
And one last thing, this is similar to the Ernie that we just learned in the last Juicy Tidbit. This, if you show it, again, you don't necessarily win the point, but it brings a lot of mental and visual pressure to your opponent, who knows that they may not want for a ball that sits up to go to that same spot. So if you provide this, that registers with opponents a lot more than just knowing you may try to protect your chicken wing. If you're out here, you're trying to match offense with offense, and that's going to seep into their mind.
Yeah.
So let's think. You give me a high ding, I'll try to roll it.
Yeah.
And we'll show you some. Oh, anything, you know? Ah! Ooh. And we'll do it.
What was that?
I don't know.
Oh! Got him!
Okay. Okay, Dekel, great slow motion, absolutely crushing me with the score. I get it. What do people typically do wrong when it comes to the score?
Okay, I would say some of them go get too low too early, and then you're stuck in this situation. Because obviously it's low, and we're not as explosive from here than we are from here. Here I can move anywhere. So if I get low, I'm not going to jump or get to different situations fast enough. So then people, hit to the side of us, and we're not going to be able to get it. So you really want to go for it, get to that low position only right after or as Ryan is hitting the shot.
Yeah. You typically do this from the right side or left?
I personally do it on both sides, but more when
Special.
on the left side I would do it more when the ball is coming from the right of me. On if I'm playing the right side, then it's kind of when it's in front of me or to the right of me. So yeah, depends.
Why don't we see more scorpions?
I think a lot of it is people's grips. People who play with a continental grip and don't change grips at all. It's very hard to do with a continental grip, just physically. You want to do this with a semi-Western grip. It's okay if you play with a continental grip. I would just recommend for this specific shot to change it to a semi-Western. So it's a little bit easier for you to have your paddle face towards your opponent.
So as a reminder, continental is like you're gripping a hammer. It's kind of just straight on, but it makes it quite hard to do that scorpion pancake-esque motion. Some people use one or two hands here, but as they go into it, you want to manipulate your hand around it so you're more out in front. Again, this is slightly sophisticated, but a lot of people are playing with semi-Eastern, semi-Western, shout out Kwong, and everyone who wants to apply more topspin. But if you're straight continental, it's going to be really hard unless you're some crazy bone edge tendons. But here, we're going to want to kind of rotate our hand around to get out in front and get that paddle down.
Yeah, I think another thing, you do have to be a little bit flexible just to get down low, and also recognize. I think people, it's kind of like the Ernie, where people don't do it enough. In my opinion, they should try this. Try to learn the recognition of it, the timing of it, and the execution of it. The more you do it, the better you'll do it. So try it out.
Yeah, it's obviously a physical shot and skill, but it really starts with the mentality that you can do this, you want to do it, and knowing what situations to do it in. So
yeah, and just one more thing. Sorry, Ryan, stay with me. I would just say this is another option for you guys. It's not like, oh, now I'm going to counter everything with a score. Covering your body with the backhand and just countering in different ways, very important too. This is another tool for your toolbox to show your opponents what you can do and maybe cover yourself, cover your body in different situations. So just another thing for you guys to add, not like, okay, I'm just going to counter like this every single time.
well said. Nothing to add there. Thank you for tuning in to Raise the Bar. This is the Juicy Tidbit. We'll catch you soon.